Yes, Aloe, that wellness brand of Los Angeles, California, is planning to launch a line of luxury handbags in September 2025, and it's caused quite a conversation within the fashion space as to whether or not this is a huge leap for them and if they're going to fall flat on their faces with this one. As someone who is an Aloe lover, I'm representing today in this cute little Aloe top that I've had for a few years. I wanted to give my 2 cents on why I think those $1,200 to $3,600 handbags that are about to launch is not that much of a leap for the brand, and why I think it might very well be a success. Of course, I'll present some of the opposing arguments that I've heard so far, and for those who are definitely not interested and would never purchase a $3,000 handbag from Aloe, I have a few alternatives for you that I'm sure you would love if you also identify as an Aloe girl. If you didn't know, Aloe actually stands for air, land, and ocean, and it was started by two friends in 2007 in Los Angeles, California, who were yoga practitioners. They sought to create this luxury activewear line for their clients who wanted to be able to have functional workout wear while doing their yoga, and they should also be able to transition that wear into streetwear. So that's essentially where it came from, and we all know and love Aloe for this. But of course, as any successful and aspiring brand, they continue to evolve and to add more to the brand itself, and they transitioned from Aloe Yoga into essentially, they're just now called Aloe because they encompass so much more than yoga. Not only do they still sell activewear, they have started to add the accoutrements of those wellness practices like yoga, Pilates. They've opened an Aloe studios for those practices as well. They've added Aloe Men. They have overall wellness retreats and so forth. So it's not surprising to me, as I said, that they continue to evolve and they're adding now more to their repertoire. The first reason I think they may very well be successful is that they're leaning more into the fact that items are no longer status symbols. So a bag, a shoe, jewelry, that in and of itself is not enough of a status symbol these days because there's so much access to those things. Whilst you do still need to have a lot of money to purchase those things, it's hard to maintain the luxury lifestyle of having time and freedom to choose wellness, to choose health, to be able to have multiple workouts per day at like an Aloe studio, to have a personal trainer on top of that, to get $20 smoothies from Erewhon, to have access to members only clubs. All of that takes a lot of maintenance, which means you have to have money, which means you have to be about that luxury life. And Aloe is hoping that that type of consumer is going to purchase their bags because their bag is not the symbol, it is literally an accessory to the lifestyle. And that's exactly what the CEO mentioned in the article where they had interviewed him for Vogue Business. And not only will they capture that audience, but they'll also continue to capture those people who are aspirational, those people who want to be the Aloe girl, who want to be the Kendall Jenner, the Lori Harvey, who want to be the Josephine Voigt, who wants to be my fave, Rosie Huntington Whiteley. They are also going to capture those people because $1,200 is still not so much of a stretch to purchase into a name. The second reason I also think they may be able to get away with this is that they're still leaning into the story of exclusivity. I'm sure they're not going to be making hundreds and thousands of these bags. They're only going to have a select few. They may be limited edition, limited quantities, and only those who have access to that specific lifestyle may be getting these bags. So again, this signals status and of course will create aspirations or even envy to those who don't have access to this type of status. Thirdly, as much as people are talking about how the bags themselves look like they're cheap and it's just generic bags with an Aloe label slapped on them, at the end of the day, they are still focusing on craftsmanship and quality. The outcome of the bag itself is still to be seen because they have not yet launched at the time of me making this video, but they have indicated that these are high quality bags that are made of Italian leather. They're being made in Florence, Italy, and definitely that is in keeping with all the other high-end luxury fashion houses who are known for making good quality bags, who have great reputations. That's going to allow them to be able to rival those brands. Fourth and final reason why I believe this could be a step in the right direction for them is the fact that I'm sure their own research has shown them that this is likely to succeed. Aloe Atelier, which makes their more premium products that they're able to market at higher prices, have been making some great pieces that people are purchasing into, whether or not they care about the quality and maybe they're still just buying into the lifestyle or the Aloe aesthetic. I'm sure their numbers are reflecting that this is profitable and therefore they can continue to go in that direction. And as a brand that has continually been compared to Lululemon, Vuori, and other lifestyle or activewear brands. This is an amazing way for them to set themselves apart and to continue to step up into luxury, as opposed to staying where they are and constantly in this back and forth battle in consumers' mind as to who to go to get their next pair of leggings. So this is definitely a huge leap for them, probably a leap of faith that I really think would pay off. On the other hand, what a lot of naysayers are pointing out is that they would never buy a $3,600 bag from Alo because there is no alignment and any sort of reputation for them in the luxury handbag space for them to dare to come out with a bag that costs $3,600. How dare you try to rival the likes of Chanel and Hermes and Bottega, etc. And I kind of understand that these brands have been around for a very long time. They've built their reputation over the years. Some of them are even over 100 years old, so I get that, but it's a crazy bet that Alo's CEOs are betting on these bags, and I'm totally here for that. We have to acknowledge the most obvious resistance you're going to get is coming from price shock. As much as they show the Alo girl as those celebrity influencer socialite types from Los Angeles, a lot of these influencers are being paid to market Alo. They're not necessarily paying for the items. The people who are purchasing the items are the aspirational shoppers. When you're used to paying a couple $100 for a set or $150 for a pair of leggings, it is definitely a giant leap to see them expecting you, the aspirational, loyal clientele, to come in and pay $1,200, $3,600 for a luxury handbag that you didn't even ask for. That's not even astonishingly gorgeous, innovative out there. It's definitely a shock to the customer, and it might turn a few customers away, but personally, I don't think that's going to happen. I think those shoppers are still going to continue to purchase. I personally will continue to purchase my Alo sets from them if I see something that I love. I'm loving their loungewear as well. So I don't think it's going to be that much of a turnoff as others say. But the price shock is definitely something that everybody's talking about. For the time of me filming this, the bags have not yet been released. We have a couple more weeks to go, or probably a few days. But based on what I've seen, they are planning to launch 4 bags. There's going to be a duffel bag, a bowling bag, a bucket bag, and a tote. Few pictures that I've seen with glimpses of the bags, they don't really look like much. They don't really look that exciting. I think the bucket bag is the most interesting one that I've seen so far. But, you know, as I said, this is slated to be accessory to the lifestyle of the Alo girls, so I guess we can't really expect much from them when it comes to these bags. However, as someone who expects to get much when I spend over $1,000 on any item, I think that there are definitely other brands or other bags that we should look to instead of those Alo bags if you are in the sect of the aspirational shopper. If you're about that life and $3,600 is a drop in the bucket for you, no problem, go off, get your accessory. But for the rest of us, I think we should look to the influencers and see what bags they were carrying before Alo decides to outfit them with these new bags. So the Los Angeles girlies, the wellness girlies, the Alo girlies who wanted to transition from studio to street, a lot of them have been carrying the Bottega Jody bag, like the sizable bags that can fit a lot of their things. As much as this was super popular a few years ago, a lot of these influencers, a lot of these girlies have been maintaining their Jody bags because it's a very practical bag. It's somewhat understated, but at the same time, very obviously Bottega. And I think it will be very useful because it's not super popular right now. There are a few on the resale market that you could get at a discount that's definitely going to keep you within the $1,200 to $3,600 range. But just know that if you really want to have that lifestyle and you really want to have a reputable luxury design house name on your shoulder, the Bottega Jody bag is the one you really should be getting. In a lot of the promotions for Alo sets, from all the Alo influencers over the years, many of them have been going to studio with their Hermes Birkin. Now, obviously, the $3,600 is not going to cut it for a Birkin. However, just to let you know, if you were already aspiring to get a Birkin, if you're already on your way to getting a Birkin and you want to be a part of this wellness lifestyle, this authentically luxurious person, envision that lifestyle with your Birkin, because the Alo girls are carrying their Birkins, and I'm sure even after they are going to be gifted all 4 Alo bags, they're still going to be out and about with their Birkins. Probably my favorite on this list, and I think is going to be my next handbag purchase, is the Jacquemus Turismo bag. This is a slightly structured bag that still has a little bit of a casual element to it. This is definitely from studio to street and can also be worn somewhat professionally. There's a softness to this bag that I appreciate, and I now consider Jacquemus to be a little bit California, a little bit Los Angeles, since they launched their store there. And I think this would be a great bag for those who are also of that wellness lifestyle aesthetic and who want something simple, understated, with a little bit of a twist here. Obviously, it fits within the $1,200 to $3,600 price range, and Jacquemus goes on sale, and you can get them at some incredible prices. This one I want to say is also out of range, but the Ro Margot bag is one I also see a lot of the Aloe girls with. So if you were already interested in the Ro Margot bag, I've spoken about it so many times, I'm not going to talk too much about it here, but that's one you should be getting in on as well. Also from the Ro, my current obsession of handbags from them is this North-South Park tote. Simplicity is the highest form of elegance, and the Ro executes this so well with this bag. I love every stitch on this bag. I love every slouch. It's a tote that has an open concept, but I love this little detail where you could just tie a little bow at the top to give it some security. It's just so beautiful and falls well within the range. I would take this over all 4 Aloe handbags. And in regards to an alternative to the Aloe tote, I would 1000% tell anyone to get this Jagger bag from Neely Lawton. I think it's so underrated. I don't think anyone even knows about this bag, but it's the most gorgeous thing I've ever seen. It has this somewhat of a little bit of a worn look to it, but in a way that makes it still look pristine. I just don't know how to explain it, but it's a gorgeous bag. The leather looks amazing. I can't wait to get my hand on this Neely Lawton bag. I really think that this is one of the best totes I've seen in a very long time. If you really want to get something that's kind of like a cross with a duffel bag and a bowling bag, I'd really just say get the Louis Vuitton Speedy. If you are not opposed to getting it on pre-loved market, the epi leathers are always on super sale, and they're gorgeous, they're simple, they're understated, and they definitely fit this aesthetic that you might be looking for. If you want to go ahead and get it, whatever it is that they have offering these days, if you want it to be a little bit more quiet luxury, it's history, it's heritage, it's quintessential Louis Vuitton, a very reputable lifelong heritage brand. But I think that the Aloe girly is very much also a Chanel-y girly, and the Chanel 25 is probably one of the most perfect bags I've seen in a very long time that fits that Los Angeles, California socialite wellness girly aesthetic. It's a very utilitarian bag, it's very useful, and I think it's also a pretty unique bag for Chanel. And I know the price probably is a little steep, but if you're really wanting to show lifestyle authenticity, get you a Chanel 25. And I think the Aloe girly is also now a Miu Miu girl. Miu Miu is very playful, slightly rebellious, but still somewhat polished, somewhat clean, somewhat intentional. And a few of the girls who follow this aesthetic have been leaning more into Miu Miu these days. And so I feel like a Miu Miu bag would be worth more than getting a $3,600 Aloe bag. Let me know in the comments how you're feeling about this. Would you pay $3,600 for an Aloe bag? Are you an Aloe lover? What do you think of their quality? What do you think of this move? Until my next video, stay fashionably well and in good health.